Right, what have I got today? Well, it's supposed to be a quick one, but we'll see. And coming in now with a large bush. Well, there's more of a clatter than a bush, wasn't it? The reason it's a clatter is because it's quite a cheap item, but I thought I'd cover it. I was able to get this for well under $10, including delivery, which was amazing. But listen, it's a bit of a... So if you're into dance and you want to be like a Spanish dancer and pretend that's a set of maracas or something like that, or you're into Native American dum-dum-dum or something like that. But it is cheap, but I thought I'll cover it because I like to give people options. And yes, as you know, I already have. I mean, this is just my little set that I use for work. I already have this little offset one, which was kind of basically this Bropy or Bropy or whatever the hell they're called. I've been using this. I wasn't happy with some of the retention of the bits here. Other than that, it was okay, and I like this little offset angle. There are full reviews on the channel if you want to have a look at it. It looks to me though like this is a generic type copy of a Vessel item. Vessel are very high quality Japanese tools, but this is absolutely fine. I've not had any problems with it, and I have genuinely used it. Same with the saber tools here. I've used this quite a lot. Sorry, saber cut, I should say there. You can see there, saber cut. I've scratched it up a bit actually, which is a bit of a shame. But it doesn't matter, it's still going to work exactly the same. And I quite like this. It's got the retention on and everything, and you know, nice little ratchet there. You can get into spaces when you're getting annoyed. And one of the other reasons why I wanted to look at some of the cheaper tools was, if you remember, I looked at the Hoto or Hoto, or however you pronounce it, if I can get it to focus. There you go. I was extremely impressed with this, dead cheap. It wasn't until I put the review up that a lot of people said, oh, hey, TT, I've got this and I love it. I'd never heard of it, and I wish people had told me earlier. And it's got the little carousel and magnetic with all these little precision bits. Beautiful. I love this thing. So I have this in my little, these are like my miniature tools, and then I put them in the Vito Pro pack with all the larger tools. But that's not what this review's about. So this is the, now I'll try and pronounce this properly, because bear in mind this is from mainland China. Even though it says Japanese style, it's not a Japanese tool. So don't think, aha, made in Japan, high quality. Not the case. Not that there's anything wrong. I have a lot of Chinese tools and the work, but obviously I wouldn't expect them to be bulletproof. And the name that I was given, if I can find it, that's what it came in. So that's the packaging. That's the, you know, amazing packaging that it came in. So there isn't even a box, and it's called, and I'll spell it out. It's the Sattda. So Sattda, I don't know. I presume that's some sort of strange translation of the name. That looks to me like the brand, and they've got the R there. It may or may not be a registered trademark. You can never tell with Chinese tools. And then weirdly, it's got like Japanese on the tool itself to try and make it look like a Japanese tool, but it isn't. But it's a three-parter. So you have this, which can clip to a belt. So if you look there, that clips on a belt, which is nice. I did see something similar to this from, I think it was Makita. It might have been Makita, and they do something similar, but theirs is like, it's not as tall as this, it's longer, but everyone was whinging and complaining when I was going to order one, and they were all complaining saying the clip's rubbish, it falls to bits. So I thought maybe they all suffer from this, but this one's been okay so far, albeit I have only used it for a few days. I've used it briefly because, you know, I've got millions of tools, so I don't always have time to use everything all the time. So it's three-parter. You have the ratchet here, then you have a bit holder, which is magnetic, and it's got a little retention system in there. So you can see the magnet down the bottom, and then you see that little line at the bottom there. See it? That retains the bits, because these are the standard, if I take them out, 1/4 inch bits. So here's your, I mean, I don't know what they would call this. I would call this like a bit magazine. But when I first looked at it, it looked like some sort of harmonica, so you can sit by the campfire. But what actually happens here is you have all these bits here, and in order to release them, you can see the mechanism inside there. You see how there is a, well, I mean, there's a stopper there, but then you have this spring. So these are spring mounted, and there is air retention behind that black bit. So when you want a bit out, let's say you think, right, I want slotted number 3. You press this, and you hear a little, there's the tiny little click. That's it. And the retention is by virtue of the little thing here. Now the bits themselves are decent. I've had a really close look. I mean, there's a few tiny little lines on them, but I'm impressed geometry wise. They're actually okay. I mean, they're not up there with PB Swiss tools, but it's not PB Swiss prices, so it's very unfair to mark it like that. Now ignore that, and that's a slotted 3. I noticed some funny swirls on the bottom. Can you see that? Like they've sort of like swirled them off the end of something. I don't know. They all seem to have that, and I've noticed that on some of the cheaper tools, which I don't see on the higher quality German stuff. It doesn't affect it geometrically. It fits all the other drivers I've tried, and it is a 1/4 inch. And you have your little retention holes there, and you know, it may be S2. I don't know if it is S2 because it's got S2 on. It may be S2 steel, but it just feels, they feel quite light, these. I don't know what alloy they've used here, but they've held up okay, and I haven't used every single bit, but I will keep testing. But try and get a close up there. I've done this in 4K, and I'll rotate that slowly, see? And then geometrically they're okay, they're pretty good. See that there? There's a few tiny little burrs, but they're, you know, they're minuscule. And I'm looking for problems, and at a $10, you know, you're not going to get much. And then to put these back in, you just push them back in. Well, that's the idea anyway. No, it won't even work now. Hang on. There. Ah, that's it. Sorry. So you push that in, and then they don't come out unless you then re-engage that, and then they come out like that, and then push them back in. So they're okay, but like I say, everything rattles, you know, which is okay, but some people would find that annoying if you were busy on a site all day. And as you can see, this set happens to come with, you get your slotted 3, slotted 5, slotted 6. Then you get your PH, which just stands for Phillips or crosshead. Phillips 1, 2 and 3. And again, the heads look okay. I'll give you a nice close look. So let's go for the small one here, the Phillips 1. Let's have a nice close look. Head-wise, I think that's okay. It's fine. And again, I don't know if it's S2. It may be S2. But you've got to take some of these claims with a pinch of salt, especially when something's way under $10 with delivery. It's fine and it works. Because the one thing that annoys me is when you go to the dollar store and you think, look at that, you get all these heads and this screwdriver, and they grind down and it becomes an irritant. I hate that. And there you go. And there's the Phillips 2 again. Good. I think that looks pretty decent. There's nothing there that screams, uh-oh, you're going to get in trouble here. You're going to be doing a job one day and get annoyed. Fine. In fact, I won't go in there. And then you have the hex. You've got 3, 4, 5 and 6. So nice. And again, they look all fine. Geometrically, they're fine. But again, on the bottom, actually, that one doesn't have it. That's interesting. I wonder if any of the hexes have got those, because I haven't used the hex ones. Yeah, there's that funny swirl I mentioned. It's weird. It's almost like if you remember when they used to make hard candies and they'd like cut them off with scissors on it. I don't know what they've done there. I presume that's some sort of release from the machine. I don't know. So anyway, so that is your magazine, and it's quite good. I mean, fits in like that, and it doesn't come out. In order for it to come out, it is retained via this. So you see that there? So you would slightly depress that and push them up, and then it clicks into place. So okay, but it's a bit flimsy. Look, if I force it, watch. There, I can actually force that out if I really put a lot of force in. Not a big fan of that. I wouldn't like to be on a set of ladders and it gets somehow forced out and whack someone on the head, but you know, it's a cheap tool. So there's the ratchet itself. Now again, it's only kept in via the little nubs here. It's okay, but it's wobbling about a bit, and again, would that fall out? You've got to put a little bit of pressure in there, and then it comes out. And then on the back here, you have the bit holder. So let's go over that. I mean, before I quickly do that, I'll just quickly tell you. So this is the 9212A mini set. So you get the slotted 3, 4, 5 and the PH123, and then the hex 3, 4, 5 and 6. There are 2 other versions you can get, so just be careful if you are looking at this and thinking, oh, I'll get one of those and stick it on the bike or put it in the car trunk or something like that. There's a 9212B, and on the B you get like a U, which is like the 2 little points. You sometimes see them on like telephone kiosks and things like that. So you get a 4 and a 6, then you get a triangle. You just get one triangle, 2.3. You get a Y head, where it's like the 3-way. You can just get the size 1 on that. And then you get the pentalobes, but you get loads of pentalobes. You get like 10, 15, 20, 25, 27 and 30. And then there's one other set, which is the 9212C. So remember, this is the A. That last one I told you was the B. On the C, it's all Torx. So the whole magazine is just full of Torx. So you get Torx, you get a T, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20, 25, 27, 30, 35, I think, and a 40. So all Torx, nothing else, which I think is that's, if you just deal with Torx, that's fine, but for me, that was no good. Okay, so here's the ratchet itself. It's pretty nice. There's no retention in there, though. If I have a flashlight, there's one. Let's have a little look here and get some light on the subject. So there's no ball bearings down there, which is a little bit annoying. See down there? There's no ball bearings down in that head. What you can see coming through there is, though, there's a magnet. So you see the silver at the bottom there? So there is a magnet somewhere in there. So if you put anything in, it's held by a magnet, which is okay, but I tend to find on certain screws, when you put quite a lot of torque in, they can be quite grippy. And people who use posi heads will know what I'm talking about. And you think, come on, get out. And then you pull the tool and the the bit's still stuck in, and that annoys me. So I quite like locking heads on certain things, especially if I'm using like an impact driver or something like that. Not so much on a small mini ratchet, because it's not about force and torque, it's more about, you know, a little bit of finesse here and getting into spaces. But I would have liked to have seen at least like a split ring. If you remember on the Sabre cut here, see that ball bearing there? If we get the flashlight on, it might help and people can actually see what I'm talking about. There you go. See, there's a ball bearing in there. There's just one, but it's enough to retain the bits. And it gives you a little bit more. There is no magnet because there's a pass-through there, which allows you to use like double-headed bits and things like that. And on this one, was this a split ring? I don't think this had anything, did it? Let's have a look. I've got so many tools now, I can't keep up. Yeah, there was a split ring at the top, you see it? So that gives you some level of retention. So there's two methods there. You've got the split ring, which is a little bit finicky, a bit more finesse with the ball bearing there, which is quite nice, and then nothing with this other than the magnet. So if you put something in, it stays by a magnet, it stays there. But there, see, it's an okay magnet. It's not up there. I would say it's below the Vera, and nowhere near as sort of high quality as the PB Swiss tools and things like that, where they have mega magnets on that just really last. I mean, the bit holder itself, you don't have to use it like this, but you can just put the bit straight in there. But the bit holder is actually quite nice. It's quite smooth, so I'll show you. So if we take this out, so we'll take out any random bit. There you go, take the bit out. And as you can see, there's a magnet down the bottom, which is like a floating, and then you have that line. Now that line is designed to catch on these detents. Listen, hear that? So that's a standard bit there, 1/4 inch. So if I put that in, it hits the magnet, which is nice, but it does have a detent, so it goes in, and then, hear that? It's not coming out until you do this. So watch. Hang on, I need to do it one-handed. So there you go. So it's a locking head really, and it's good. Look, that's not coming out. And then when you do want it, you just pull this collar back. See that? Isn't that lovely? And then that must pull that away from the magnet. So quite a nice mechanism. So they go in. You hear a click. Listen, they're not coming out. They hit that detent and they will not come out. So, which is weird. Here's what I want to know. So you've got this lock, right? And you think, brilliant, that's never coming out. So you put it in there, but it's not locked, is it? Because if that gets stuck, now that's stuck in. So a little bit disappointing, but the argument could be that, okay, well, you can use this in another tool and it's still a locking head. Yes, I get that. I just wish that it maybe put some sort of more, I don't know, detent in here. And I don't expect to put a locking head on, because the whole point of these things is to get into small spaces, and I realise you don't want this big locking collar on here. But just a bit strange. So that's locked, but then, oh, now that's stuck in the fastener. Well, now I've got to pull that out. Okay, interesting take, but there you go. And like I say, straightforward, well, back, sorry, I should say, there, and the bit comes out, but it doesn't go flying out, which is nice. And then it's there because it's held there by the magnet, so unlocked, but then look, it's stuck on that magnet just enough, and you can actually feel the magnet pulling up with it. So I think that's a lovely feature. So I actually really like this. I certainly don't think this is impact resistant. It's not what it's made for, but it looks nice. It's like a nice stainless steel. That head's nice. It feels nice. It's got a good detent and a nice magnet. So I like that. So I think they've done well there, especially at the price point. In regards to the actual mini ratchet, which I'm supposed to be talking about, it is reversible. You know, you can go that way, and then you can reverse it and go the other way. There, and it's got quite a few teeth. If you remember, on some of these, especially this one, didn't have a lot of teeth for the ratchet mechanism. So what happens is, so we'll count it. So let's say we'll take this to a right angle. Watch. So 1, look at that, 2, 3 and a bit. So 3 clicks for 90 degrees. I mean, that's pretty poor. So if you have limited space, so let's say you've got limited space like that, right, and you put this in, right, watch. I can't even get 1 click, I've got to go all the way to there to get a click. There's some spaces that's not going to be good enough for. I mean, I specifically got this for the angle, but that's a bit poor. There's not enough teeth on that. With the Sabre cut, we'll check that. We'll just change the direction. So let's see in a similar space, look. So let's see on the fastener, look, more teeth. more options. So if we go to 90 here, and then we'll count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, about 19. This is similar. I'm sure I counted about 20. So if we go to, I'll try and get this as fair as possible. So there's 90 degrees. Let's make sure on the ratchet there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I would say. So very similar to the saber cut. This is annoying how little teeth it does have, so it's in a similar ballpark as the saber cut. More than enough for the work that I'm doing, but just bear that in mind. So look, very small angles of movement needed to get to the next area where you can pull the torque on. So nice. So I like that. Again, retention's okay. Look, it's okay. It's magnetic. But that's all it is. That comes out quite easily. If you're not working on certain things, that's not an issue. But for me, if I'm in some electronics, I don't want things dropping, because that's a nightmare for me. Screws and things that drop, I don't like. Then you've got to try and fish them out with stupid little tools and stuff. I hate that. And the magnet's not that strong, but at these prices you can't really whinge, can you? So we'll go over some good points and bad points to this set. And what I should have mentioned was this does rotate. So once that's on your belt, you can rotate it left and right. It does do a full 360 if you did need that. But this does feel cheap. But to be fair, this is cheap plastic. You can do it all the way around, then hang out and stuff. I've got like a Vito Pro bag that I hang in a van and things like that, and inserting on sites. And that just gives options. I quite like that option. That's quite nice. Although they could have just put a loop on somewhere. But anyway, so for this set, I'm quite impressed. I mean, there's a little bit of fiddliness to these bits. So I'm quite large. I'm 6'4", and look, if I was to do it like that, I'm going to get three out. If I put my hand to the side, I've got to really use my nail. If I try and do it like that, you're going to get two. Not that it's the end of the world. You can just take the bit out and push the one down. But I'm just showing you size-wise. It's very small and fiddly, so that may be an issue for you. So really, pros for this, there's a high teeth count in comparison to a lot of other tools. I realise there's certainly better ones. I like the clip, even though it's a bit rattly. I think they need to make some improvements on tolerances there, but it's a cheap thing. Clip's okay. You can turn it around and stuff. Decent bit holder. This magazine's decent. One problem I didn't like was you can't sort of reverse it. So if you put it in like that, and you've got, I mean, I suppose you can get around it, but you see how there's hexes at the top. What if you don't use a load of hexes? What if you want to reverse this so the Phillips are at the top because you use more Phillips? Well, you can't do that. So that's a little bit annoying. I mean, you could do that, but then it depends how you've got it, because then you're trying to push them in. What I would like to see is, I don't know. Just when I wore this, I thought, right, that would be handy if I was busy with this and I could just put my hand down. There you go. If I was to put my hand down, leave it on the belt and just press the top one, like my most used one, and I would know that would always be a certain one. I mean, it's no longer going to match these, but it's not the end of the world, because you can just swap them around, and you know that a Phillips 2 that you might happen to use the most is at the top, or a Torx, whatever. And you can put standard bits in here, so they are standard. So if you've got a bit that you use more, stick them in. Boom. So you've got those options. So cons for this, I would say only magnetic retention on the head, which is a shame. It is nice and deep here, which I like. I mean, some of these other ones aren't that deep. You have got that going for it, but the magnet's not very strong. It's only magnetic. That's a little bit of a shame. And a little bit, like I say, a little bit fiddly on here if you've got bigger hands and you're having to push with the nail rather than the thumb, which is less comfortable. If you push with the thumb, you're going to get two. I'm really nitpicking here though. So, okay, I need to give this a mark. I think, bear in mind, it's very, very low price. I'm going to give this 7. I'd like to see maybe someone take this and run with it and make it even better though. Like I say, Makita do something similar, but theirs is like, it's almost like if you take that bit off and make it longer, and then you've got this thing on, but everyone was whinging about clips and saying it was a load of rubbish. But I think for like, $8, $9, $10, I think this is okay. I quite like this head. I think that retains heads lovely. You pop them in, boom, locked, nice locking, not too bulky to be a locker though, and then pull it. Can't do it one-handed. There you go, pull it, and it flips out, but it's still on the magnet. So you can see that's on the magnet there. See, the magnet came up with it a little bit there. See the magnet? Watch. And it'll drop down. I love that system. I think that's quite nice. I might even just use that on its own. But as a set, I'll give it a 7. I think for the price, a 7. Decent, plenty of teeth on this, and okay. So I just want to share this with you. This was a brief review of this. If you think this is a load of rubbish and there's much better ones, stick it down below because we'll help each other. I might try and put a link to this. It won't be an affiliate link. I'm not trying to make money. I'm not associated with the company or anything like that. There are honest reviews on this channel. I don't care about things like that. And like I say, if you think this is rubbish and there's a better one, share it and we'll all help each other. I just thought I would show you this. I do have a load of, in fact, I've got, what's this one? I do have another tool to look at. I will get to that eventually because I quite like that. I have some carbide bits to look at. Do you know what? I've got a pile of stuff to look at. I've got a new Maxpedition thing to look at. I've got a load of these to look at from Saberco. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. I will try and get the things eventually, but it's just having the time. That's the problem. So thank you for joining me. I've kept you long enough. I've kept you for over 20 minutes of me waffling, so apologies for that. Even though I realise people do watch my stuff because they sleep to me. So take from that what you will. But thank you for joining me, and goodbye.